Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is James calling about Ryan Day and the state of Ohio State football. I think we need to talk about the case for replacing Day with Mike Vrabel. Day has now lost 4 straight to Michigan, including the most embarrassing upset in the 127-year rivalry as a 3-touchdown favorite. Yes, Day's overall record is 66-10, but he's just 1-4 against Michigan and hasn't won a national championship. I think Mike Vrabel is the perfect replacement. He's a beloved alum who already has coaching experience with the program as a former linebacker and defensive line coach. And as an NFL head coach, he's proven he can develop talent and build a winning culture. Yes, the $37 million buyout for Day is steep, but Vrabel is currently available and wouldn't require a buyout of his own. The time is right to bring in a coach who understands the importance of beating Michigan and can restore Ohio State's dominance in the rivalry, and Vrabel is that guy.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Dalton, there's 2 things. Most Ohio State fans are ready to move on from Ryan Day. I'm not sure that Mike Vrabel would want to coach college. College in the NIL era, man, there are not a lot of guys that are running from the NFL to sign up for that. There's also another thing that comes to mind. Ohio State doesn't put a value in this is going to piss off Ohio State fans. I get it. They don't put a value on recruiting Ohio anymore. Ever since Urban Meyer, they go out and they recruit nationally. They're going into Florida, they're going into California, they're going into Texas, and they're coming out with recruits. Those recruits don't come to Ohio State necessarily to beat Michigan. They come here to win national championships. Now, it's true, Day hasn't won that. That's still on the table this year. But there's a whole changing dynamic that a lot of people in Ohio don't want to admit.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, I think this isn't just Ohio State. This is all across the country. And rivalries are still great, but I think it's something the dynamic has changed. You mentioned the recruiting and just the world we live in, right? It's much easier to get a plane ticket nowadays and see your family. It's cell phones are, they've brought the communication to it. It's not like the old days where kids could only call their parents on a payphone. So I think it's a little bit different where you have kids that are willing to go coast to coast and far away. If they want a quarterback from California, they can go get them. So it's a different era of recruiting you're living in. Then you mentioned it. Now that you have the playoff, especially, we're not going to get that scenario where the winner of Michigan, Ohio State might decide who wins the national title, right? The days where they used to be 1 and 2 in the country. And that could still be possible. But with the way we have a bracket now and everything, I think it's very hard with this Ohio State team to understand all of the goals because, yes, they failed again in beating Michigan. But you mentioned it. The national title is right in front of them. They have a boatload of talent. If they go and win a national title, well, you can't go and get rid of Ryan Day after winning a trophy like that. I know, again, beating Michigan's a part of the job. It's a special part of the job. But it's very strange how we have 2 different dynamics here and 2 different types of goals here with this program.
The other thing is with the Big Ten expanding, it's USC, it's UCLA, it's Oregon. That's kind of diluting, and Ohio State fans don't want to hear it. It's diluting the Ohio State-Michigan because you're now coast to coast as a conference.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think the entire nation is coast to coast when you think about it. There's just so few programs that are recruiting exclusively from in-state. And I think Texas is one of the last ones that even they're starting to branch out in that sense. You have to do it. You have to go get guys from different areas. You're not just going to build an entire national championship winning roster nowadays with as much talent as is out there with just guys in your state, right? It's not localized like it used to be. And I don't know that it's diluted so much. It's just that it's a different meaning, right? It's not. I think when you have the playoff system, one loss doesn't make or break you. And I think that was maybe part of the fun of it. In the older days of this rivalry, that's not that long ago, but pre-playoff. But I think it's just a thing where they're 2 separate goals now, as opposed to it used to be that Ohio State beating Michigan was a requirement for going and trying to win a national title. Now they could lose to Michigan and still have a realistic chance like they do this year.
And the other thing is Harbaugh lost to Ohio State a number of years and then ended up coming back, beating them, winning a national championship.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's what you're talking about. It still takes a long time to build these things, right? And this is going to be the debate with Ohio State. There's been all the talk about the $20 million roster and can you buy a roster overnight? Now, a lot of these guys came back from last year. I do think that's overblown. There's a few pieces with Downs and Judkins and even Will Howard, the quarterback. I get it. But Michigan wasn't known for, NIL and portal and all that stuff. They really recruited from within and developed within, right? So it's two different mindsets, and all the Michigan people are going to say, well, ours works better than yours, but it's a combination of both, right? Ohio State's developed a lot of their own guys, and they just have to. To me, it looks like, especially with this last game, it looks like a mental hurdle with Ohio State now. There's really no logical reason they should have lost this matchup with as much better as they were as Michigan through the majority of the year. I think it's really a mental hurdle now, and we're going to see a Michigan team that they got the number one high school quarterback recruit in the country coming in. It's not going to get any easier.